welcome back to Friday Reads, where we help you find your next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie, and we're continuing our 5-star reads from the summer reading program. We had a lot of adults and teens tell us their favorite books this summer, and Jill and I are in our construction equipment because the library is starting to be under construction. We close next Wednesday, August 13th, to pack up our books. We're going to get new carpeting and new paint, and then we will reopen the following Monday in the Evergreen Room, which is down the Civic Wing Hall, for limited browsing from noon till 6. So we got our hard hats and safety vests. Construction edition of 5-star reads. Jill, what's your first pick?
And we'll still be fulfilling holds. So if any of these look good to you, you can put them on hold and we'll be down there. Maybe not with our hats on. My first one is actually a two-part.
Oh.
This is Heartless Hunter and Rebel Witch. Heartless Hunter is the first one in the Crimson Moth by Kristen Cicerelli. Both of these made this 5-star list by multiple people. On the night Root's life changed forever, blood ran in the streets. Now in the aftermath of a devastating revolution, witches have been diminished from powerful rulers to outcasts, ruthlessly hunted due to their waning magic, and Rue must hide what she is. Spending her days pretending to be nothing more than a vapid young socialite, Rue spends her nights as the Crimson Moth, a witch vigilante who rescues her kind from being purged. When a rescue goes wrong, she decides to throw witch hunters off her scent and gain the intel she desperately needs by courting the handsome Gideon Sharp, a notorious and unforgiving witch hunter loyal to the revolution, who she can't help but find herself falling for. Gideon loathes the decadence and the superficiality Rune represents, but when he learns the Crimson Moth has been using Rune's merchant ships to smuggle renegade witches out of the Republic, he inserts himself in her social circles by pretending to court her right back. He soon realizes that beneath her beauty and shallow facade is someone fiercely intelligent and tender who likes his perfect match. Except, what if she's the very villain he's been hunting?
Uh-oh.
And then it concludes, this is only a two-part book, it concludes with the Rebel Witch. With the witch, Rune Winters are on the run ever since the boy she loved, Gideon Sharp, revealed who she was and delivered her into enemy hands. So, a little bit of a spoiler there. Everyone wants her dead. If Rune hopes to survive, she must ally herself with the cruel and dangerous Cressida Roseblood, who's planning to take back the Republic and reinstate the reign of witches, something Cressida needs Rune to accomplish. A witch hunter. Apparently it wasn't enough for Rune to deceive Gideon. She's now betrayed him by allying herself with the witch who's made his life a living hell. Gideon won't allow the Republican to fall to the witches and be plunged back into the nightmare of the past. In order to protect this new world he fought for, every last witch must die, especially Rune Winters. So I want to read the exciting conclusion of this series. This is it. 5-star rating.
Some good YA picks. My first pick comes from the adult collection, and this is the Martha's Vineyard Beach and Book Club, and this is actually a new book which was published this year by Martha Hall Kelly. Two sisters living on Martha's Vineyard during World War II find hope in the power of storytelling when they start a wartime book club for women in the spectacular novel inspired by true events. She is the author of Lilac Girls, so people might be familiar with her books. So this is another one with a dual timeline. So in 2016, 34-year-old Mari Starwood is still grieving after her mother's death as she travels to the storied island of Martha's Vineyard. She's come all the way from California with nothing but a name on a piece of paper. Elizabeth Devereaux, the famous but reclusive vineyard painter. When Mari makes it to Mrs. Devereaux's stunning waterfront farm under the guise of taking a painting class with her, Mrs. Devereaux begins to tell her the story of the Smith sisters who once lived there. As the tale unfolds, Mari is shocked to learn that her relationship to this island runs deeper than she ever thought possible. 1942, The Smith Girls. 19-year-old aspiring writer Cadence and 16-year-old war-obsessed Briar are faced with the impossible task of holding their failing family farm together during World War II as the army arrives on Martha's Vineyard. When Briar spots German U-boats lurking off the island shores and Cadence falls into an unlikely romance with a sworn enemy, their quiet lives are officially upended. In an attempt at normalcy, Cadence and her best friend Bess start a book club, which grows both in members and influence as they connect with a fabulous New York publisher who could make all of Cadence's dreams come true. But all that is put at risk by a mysterious man who washes ashore and whispers of a spy in their midst on the island. Who in their tight-knit island community can they trust? Could this little book club change the course of the war before it's too late? So I'm actually reading this book right now, and I am enjoying it very much. I did not know that there were U-boats during the war in the early 40s off the coast of Martha's Vineyard, but it's interesting.
What a fun place to go in the summer. I'm on a YA train here. I Know What You Did Last Summer by Lois Duncan. This is interesting because this book was originally published in 1973. And it was made into a movie in 1987, and it has been remade into a movie this year. So, last summer, 4 terrified friends made a desperate pact to conceal a shocking secret. But now someone has learned the truth and is determined to get even. They didn't mean it. They didn't mean to hit the boy. There was a party, and it was an accident, but they had futures to protect. So Barry, Julie, Helen, and Ray swore one another to secrecy. Now, a year later, someone knows. Julie receives a haunting anonymous threat. I know what you did last summer. The horror is starting again. There is an unknown avenger out there who's stalking them in a deadly game. Will he stop at terror, or is he out for revenge? So, I Know What You Did Last Summer. 5-star read.
My second pick, also an adult pick, and this is a mystery. This is The Missing Half by Ashley Flowers, and this was also published this year. 2 women, haunted by their sisters' unsolved disappearances, band together in this captivating mystery from the New York Times bestselling author of All Good People Here and host of the #1 true crime podcast, Crime Junkie. Nick Monroe is in a rut. At 24, she lives alone in a dinky apartment in her hometown of Mishawaka, Indiana. She's just gotten a DWI, and she works the same dead-end job she's been working since high school. A job she only has because her boss is a family friend and feels sorry for her. Everyone has felt sorry for her for the last 7 years, since the day her older sister, Casey, vanished without a trace. On the night Casey went missing, her car was found over 100 miles from home. The driver's door was open, and her purse was untouched in the seat next to it. The only real clue in her disappearance was Jules Connor, another young woman from the same area who disappeared in the same way just 2 weeks earlier. But with so little for the police to go on, both their cases eventually went cold. Nick wants nothing more than to move on from her sister's disappearance and the state it's left her in. But then one day, Jules' sister, Jenna Connor, walks into her life and offers Nick something she hasn't felt in a long while: hope. What follows is a gripping tale of 2 sisters who will do anything to find their missing halves, even if it means destroying everything they've ever known up to that point. So sounds like a good mystery.
Yeah, that does look good.
The Missing Half by Ashley Flowers, new this year.
I've not heard of that author either. This is not a YA, but it could be. This is Jennifer Armentrout's A Shadow in the Ember, and this is the first in a series called The Flesh and the Fire. Born shrouded in the veil of the primals, a maiden as the fates promise, Seraphina Mural's future has never been hers. Chosen before birth to uphold the desperate deal her ancestors struck to save his people, Sarah must leave behind her life and offer herself to the primal of death as his consort. However, Sarah's real identity is the most closely guarded secret in all of Oceania. She's not the well-protected maiden, but an assassin with one mission, one target. Make the primal of death fall in love, become his weakness, and then end him. If she fails, she dooms her kingdom to a slow demise at the hands of the rot. Sarah has always known what she is: chosen consort, assassin, weapon. A specter never really fully formed, yet drenched in blood. A monster until the primal of death's unexpected words and deeds chase away the darkness gathering inside her, and his seductive touch ignites a passion she's never allowed herself to feel and cannot feel for him. But Sarah has never had a choice. Either way, her life is a forfeit. It's always been, as she has been forever touched by life and death. So, Shadow and Ember. And this is probably one of these romanticities that has a little bit of spice in it.
The third pick, also fiction, in the adult collection, is Things You Save in a Fire by Catherine Center. This was published back in 2019. Cassie Hanwell was born for emergencies. As one of the only female firefighters in her Texas firehouse, she's seen her fair share of them, and she's excellent at dealing with other people's tragedies. But when her estranged and ailing mom asks her to uproot her life and move to Boston, it's an emergency of a kind Cassie never anticipated. The tough old school Boston firehouse is as different from Cassie's old job as it could possibly be. Hazing, a lack of funding, and poor facilities mean that the firemen aren't exactly thrilled to have a lady on the crew, even one as competent and smart as Cassie, except for the handsome rookie who doesn't seem to mind having Cassie around. But she can't think about that because she doesn't fall in love. And because of the advice her old captain gave her, don't date firefighters. Cassie can feel her resolve slipping, but will she jeopardize her place in a career where she's worked so hard to be taken seriously? The author's Things You Save in a Fire is a heartfelt, affecting novel about life, love, and the true meaning of courage. So I know this was popular when it came out.
Yes, I'm glad to see it again.
So
'cause I
it's
think
on my list of books to read, and I just never have gotten to it.
As 5-star reads. Somebody said that's 5 stars. Okay, so this is actually not the first in a series. This is number 9, Radio Silence in the Osman Universe. It's number 9 by Alice Osman. This is the author of Heartstopper, which is the best-selling graphic novel right now. What if everything you set up to be was wrong? Frances has been a steady machine with one goal. Nothing will stand in her way, not friends, not a guilty secret, not even the person she is on the inside. Then Frances meets a lead, and for the first time, she's unafraid to be herself. Frances spends her time studying and making fan art for her favorite podcast, Universe City. Alid is known as a smart, quiet kid. No one realized that he's the creator of Universe City and goes by the name Radio Silence online. When Frances gets a message from Radio Silence asking if she'll collaborate with them, everything changes. And the more Frances and Alid show their true selves on their podcast, the more they begin to wonder which is the real performance. When secret identities are revealed, will Frances have the courage to show the world who she really is, or will she be met with Radio Silence? Frances is caught between who she was and who she longs to be. Frances knows that she has to confront her past to confess why Karis disappeared. This was published in 2016, Radio Silence by Alice Osman.
My next pick comes from the YA collection. This was also a Reese's Book Club pick for YA, and this is The Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Bolley, published in 2021. As a biracial, unenrolled tribal member and the product of a scandal, Daunis Fontaine has never quite fit in, both in her hometown and on the nearby Ojibwe reservation. When her family is struck by tragedy, Daunis puts her dreams on hold to care for her fragile mother. The only bright spot is meeting Jamie, the charming new recruit on her brother's hockey team. After Daunis witnesses a shocking murder that thrusts her into a criminal investigation, she agrees to go undercover. But the deception and deaths keep piling up, and soon the threat strikes too close to home. How far will she go to protect her community if it means tearing apart the only world she's ever known?
Mm-hmm.
This is the first book in the Firekeeper's Daughter series, which continues with Warrior Girl on Earth. I read this book and saw the author speak at the Fox Cities Reads event, and she was fantastic, and I really like this book, so I agree it deserved to be on the 5-star Reads picks.
It sure did. And it takes place in the UP, which I think is super fun because it feels close. My last pick here is a graphic novel, We Are Not Strangers by Josh Tuninga. Inspired by a true story, this graphic novel follows a Jewish immigrant's efforts to help his Japanese neighbors while they are incarcerated during World War II. Marco Cavill has always knew his grandfather, affectionately called Papu, was a good man. After all, he was named for him. The first-generation Jewish immigrant, Papu was hardworking, smart, and caring. When Papu peacefully passes away, Marco expects the funeral to be simple. However, he is caught off guard by something unusual. Among his close family and friends are mourners he doesn't recognize, Japanese-American families, and no one is quite sure who they are or why they are at the service. How do these strangers know his grandfather so well? Set in the multicultural center district of Seattle during World War II and inspired by author and artist John Chuninga's family experience, We Are Not Strangers explores a unique situation of Japanese and Jewish Americans living side by side in a country at war. Following Marco's grandfather's perspective, we learn of his life as a Sephardic Jewish immigrant living in America and his struggles as he settles into America, gearing up its war efforts. Despite the war raging just outside U.S. borders, Peppu befriends Sam Akiyama, a Japanese man who finds his world upended from President Roosevelt's Executive Order 9066. Determined to keep Sam's business afloat while he and his family are unjustly incarcerated, Peppu creates a plan not only changes the lives of the Akiyamas, but of the entire Nihonmachi community. So, we are not strangers. This was published in 2023, and one of our patrons gave it 5
I'm
stars.
glad a graphic novel made the list.
Yeah.
Last one is Riley Sager's The Only One Left. We've done this book before. This was published in 2023. At 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope. Now reduced to a schoolyard chant, the Hope family murders shocked the Maine coast one bloody night in 1929. While most people assume 17-year-old Lenora was responsible, the police were never able to prove it. Other than her denial after the killings, she has never spoken publicly about that night, nor has she set foot outside Hope's End, the cliffside mansion where the massacre occurred. Stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life. It's now 1983, and home health aide Kit McDeer arrives at a decaying Hope's End to care for Lenora after her previous nurse fled in the middle of the night. In her 70s and confined to a wheelchair, Lenora was rendered mute by a series of strokes and can only communicate with Kit by tapping out sentences on an old typewriter. One night, Lenora uses it to make a tantalizing offer. I want to tell you everything. It wasn't me, Lenora said, but she's the only one not dead. As Kit helps Lenora write about the events leading to the Hope family massacre, it becomes clear there's more to the tale than people know. But when new details about her predecessor's departure come to light, Kit starts to suspect Lenora might not be telling the complete truth, and the seemingly harmless woman in her care could be far more dangerous than she first thought. So, The Only One Left by Riley Sager.
Riley Sager. People love him.
Yeah, I've read a few of the books by him.
Well, I hope if you're looking for a 5-star read, you'll take one of these suggestions and keep coming to the library even during construction.
Yeah, and if you had any 5-star reads that you read this summer, share them, comment on our website, Facebook page, or YouTube channel where you can find our videos. Until next week, Jill and I thank you for watching. Bye.